I hate doing that, but I figure that we're reading out of the same book every week, but it's not the same book every week. But no one has successfully navigated their way through the whole thing yet anyway. But I repeat a sermon now and then and do it a little bit differently, but it's the same thing. Somebody will listen to something this time that might not have heard it last time. I don't even change the titles anymore. But there is enough change in each one of them that it's going to be different anyway, because there's some different things going to flow through my head while serving this. But the thing is, we have to delay or, okay. Well, let's drop anchor anyway. Matthew, the 13th chapter, the first verse. That same day, Yeshua went out of the house and sat beside the sea. And great crowds gathered about him, so that he got into a boat and sat down, and the whole crowd stood on the shore. And he told them many things in parables, saying, a sower went out to sow. And as he sowed, some seeds fell along the path, and the birds came and devoured them. And other seeds fell on rocky ground, where they did not have much soil, and immediately they sprang up. Since they had no depth of soil, but when the sun rose, they were scorched. And since they had no root, they withered away. Other seeds fell among thorns, and the thorns grew up and choked them. Verse 8. Other seeds fell on good soil and produce grain, and some 100-fold, some 60-fold, some 30. He who has ears, let him hear. Not externally also, but internally as well. He who has ears attuned to hear, so as to understand, let him make use of them, and seriously consider and diligently understand. Let him make use of them to attend to the profound importance of this parable. In a way of speaking, used by Yeshua. When anything of spiritual profundity was delivered and not offered up for easy understanding, his purpose in this was to commit and quicken the attention of the spiritually attuned and stir in them a deeper understanding. of what was said. Verse 10. Then the disciples came and said to him, "Why do you speak to them in parables?" And he answered them, "To you, and by spiritual extension, all of us as well, it has been given to know the secrets of the kingdom of heaven. But to them, it has not been given. For to the one who has more will be given, and he will have an abundance. But from the one who has not, even what he has will be taken away. This is why I speak to them in parables, because seeing they do not see, and hearing they do not hear, nor do they understand. Indeed, in their case, the prophecy of Isaiah is fulfilled that says, "You will indeed hear, but never understand. And you will indeed see, but never perceive. For this people's hearts have grown dull, and with their ears they can barely hear. And their ears have been closed, lest they should see with their eyes, and hear with their ears, and understand with their hearts, and turn, and I would heal them. But blessed are your eyes, for they see, and your ears, for they hear. For truly I say to you," and don't miss this, "many prophets and righteous people longed to see what you see, and did not see it, and to hear what you hear, and did not hear it." Many prophets and righteous people longed to see what you see, and did not see it, and to hear what you hear, and did not hear it. We tend to read the words of Messiah and somehow forget how profound this book is. We sit up and see the lies offered up on television, especially now, and just get crazy, excited about the latest, and that's all gossip is nowadays. Lies and gossip. They call it news, but we've been around longer than that. We were born on a day, but that day wasn't yesterday. Some of us, most of us, can tell the difference between the latest lies and gossip and entertainment. Yet, the things that tell us of these times that we live in, we let them go by the boards, because there is no news prophet. No one there to tell us what these words mean. Or the TV prophets are devoid of understanding and wish to draw us into their void. But notice how the Bible is more current than your daily newspaper in every way. Notice what is said of the commerce of the last days are some very profound hints here. All of them, most of them, by that measure, they don't want you to know. As in the parable of the sower, Yahweh never tells us out loud what is happening, but gives hints to the spiritually aware. Notice the elements of the prophecy here in Revelation, the 18th chapter, the 11th verse. Revelation, the 18th chapter, the 11th verse. And the merchants of the earth weep and mourn for her, since no one buys their cargo anymore. Take a gander at this shopping list. Verse 12, cargo of gold, silver, jewels, pearls, fine linen, purple cloth, the expensive stuff, silk, scarlet cloth. That was expensive back then too. All kinds of scented wood, all kinds of articles of ivory. They're not supposed to be selling that stuff. But apparently they will be, as they were then. All kinds of articles of costly wood, bronze, iron and marble, cinnamon, spice, incense, myrrh, frankincense, good stuff, wine, more good stuff, oil, all kinds. They don't specify here. Fine flour, wheat, cattle, and sheep, horses, and chariots, and hay. Am I reading this right? And slaves, that is, human souls. If we look at this prophecy, it speaks quite clearly of what will no longer be sold as a result of the destruction of Babylon in the days to come. Did anyone notice that last item on the shopping list? Yep, the slaves. The Bible is quite clearly telling us that slaves are going to be traded by Babylon in the last days. If we are nearing these last days, would it be not logical that slavery is going on in the world? Would it not be logical that we would see that slavery going on in the world as part of the things that warn us of these times we live in? But those stories were buried. The stories about Epstein, Weinstein. What's the girl, the one that keeps getting out of jail and they keep putting her back in there? Ghislaine Maxwell. And don't talk about her father much. But that's a whole other story in itself that they don't want you to know too much about. We will continue in Luke, the 17th chapter, the 26th verse. Luke, the 17th chapter, the 26th verse. Just as it was in the days of Noah, so will it be in the days of the Son of Man. Hebrews, the 11th chapter, the 7th verse. Noah, being warned by Yahweh concerning events of as yet unseen, in reverent fear, constructed an ark for the saving of his household. By this he condemned the world and became an heir of the righteousness that comes by faith. The Greek word here translated as condemned is G2632, katakrino, to judge, to pronounce sentence against, or condemn, after a judging guilty. Which implies that while building the ark, Noah had to be, in some way, shape, or form, trying to warn the people around him of the coming calamity. A lot of us over the years heard so many times that he wasn't a prophet or anything. No, that's not the way that God does things. He warned everybody before their visitation came. Why? Not the world. Notice the comparatively similar words of Yeshua in Matthew, the 24th chapter, the 37th verse. Matthew, the 24th chapter, the 37th verse. For as were the days of Noah, so will be the coming of the Son of Man. For as in those days before the flood, they were eating and drinking, marrying and giving in marriage. A normal day, right? Right? Until the day when Noah entered into the ark, 39. And they were unaware until the flood came and swept them all away. So will be the coming of the Son of Man. Today's title, now you see it, now you don't. It is almost a sleight of hand trick how completely Satan has deceived the entire world into going his way, and seldom considering that life is not making much sense right now at all, and people going on and this is the new normal. The Bible says somewhere that nothing is new. Nothing is new. Ecclesiastes, I forget exactly where it is. It's there. You've all seen it. Nothing is new. And the minute is something branded as new, look around. A sheet is going to come down over the eyes at some point. A real sheet or one constructed of whole cloth by your news outlets. This is all planned. This is all planned. And that's all I'll say right now. More is coming, but not this time around. I'm still gathering information. And when it comes full to me, I will bring it to you here. And whatever happens after that, come on with it. But few of us deeply consider why this is. This is planned, though. Most of the intelligent people say that there is no Satan, while the less self-directed people blame Satan for all of their failings. We've heard it before. The devil made me do it. Or the more common version, you gonna make me hurt you. Same excuse, same lack of self-control. Which brings me back to something that we should always do when we need a deeper understanding of what Yahweh is trying to tell us here. Go back to the original language and seek that deeper meaning. I went back to Matthew 24:38 and found something very interesting buried in the Greek word translated there. Matthew, the 24th, start at the 37th verse. For as were the days of Noah, so will be the coming of the Son of Man. For as in those days before the flood, they were eating and drinking. That word is G 5176, trogo. To injure, wear away. This is where they were eating fruit, nuts, beans, which require crunching of the teeth, these foods. Trogalia is another form of that word. It means fruits, nuts, almonds, and the like, used as a dessert. G4095, pino, to drink. It is lawful to eat and drink, provided it be in moderation and not to excess. And to marry and give in marriage when the laws, rules, and plans of Yahweh are observed. And that isn't always the case nowadays in any of these things. There is a reason why in these last days chefs have such a large place in the end times scenario. I didn't really think about this until I got through this and really hunkered down in it and thought about it. It is lawful to eat and drink, provided, as I said, provided it is in moderation and not to excess, and to marry and give in marriage. As I said, when the laws, rules, and plans of Yahweh are observed. And therefore, this must be understood, either of their wholly giving themselves up to these pleasures of life and lust of the flesh, without any concern about the affairs of faith, the worship and glory of Yahweh, the welfare and caring about their eternity. Most people don't even think about that. They just do things. And the approaching danger, of which Noah had given them warning, or of their luxury and intemperance in eating and drinking, and of their libidinous and unlawful marriages, even back in those days, just like now. Now, though, there is a reason why you say certain words in public. You can be arrested. All of this was planned very carefully. Genesis 6:2. As they entered into unlawful marriages and unclean copulations, wherefore these things may be spoken of them as what were really sinful and wicked at their root. For as in those days before the flood, they were eating and drinking, marrying and giving in marriage. Matthew, the 24th chapter, we go back to the 39th verse. And they were unaware until the flood came and swept them all away. And so will be the coming of the Son of Man. When the Bible gives us warnings this specific, we are forced to pay attention. For the world has largely tuned Yahweh out. The best they can give him is a title. Small G-O-D. And I warn you now, just because somebody harps on about God, ask them how they spell it. And then after you do that, announce to them that's a title, not a name. What's your God's name? And by now, most people are out of that conversation. It's already too deep for them. And now you know what to do from that point on with their talking about small G-O-D. Be gentle with it, but it's got to be done. And many people say that if you box them in, they want nothing to do with religion. They just want to talk about it. Small G-O-D. If you really talk to people, 3 things keep them away from religion. 1, the hypocrisy of the ministers. 2, the money grubbing of the churches. 3, the lack of true moral teaching and adherence to it by believers. The Apostle Paul made this concept very clear to the people he spoke to in his day. They were already dealing with the squabbling between the Hebrew stalwarts and the new believers baptized in the name of Yeshua. Even here, the divisiveness had already taken hold. Romans, the 2nd chapter, the 9th verse. Romans, the 2nd chapter, the 9th verse. There will be tribulation and distress for every human being who does evil. The Jew first, and also the Greek. Why the Jew first? They were chosen, and I did say were. That doesn't mean final, like it is when you are through. God has another way to do this. Capital G-O-D. God has a way to do this. And already he knew that they were a spirited bunch. That wasn't his word, though. He was a little bit more direct. They were flint-headed in his words. And he's going to be doing a little bit different thing with them than everybody else. Thus, Paul very quietly says here, for every human being who does evil, the Jew first, and also the Greek, by extension everybody else. Verse 10, but glory and honor and peace for everyone who does good, the Jew first, and also the Greek. For Yahweh shows no partiality. What's this? You'll see in the end times what this is. They will get no more chance than you do. For God shows no partiality. For all who have sinned without the law will also perish without the law. And all who have sinned under the law will be judged by the law. For it is not the hearers of the law who are righteous before capital G-O-D, but the doers of the law who will be justified. For when Gentiles who do not have the law by nature do what the law requires, they are a law to themselves, even though they do not have the law. They show that the law is the work of the law is written on their hearts, while their conscience also bears witness. And their conflicting thoughts accuse or even excuse them. On that day, when according to my gospel, Yahweh judges the secrets of man by Yeshua Messiah. But if you call yourself a Jew and rely on the law and boast in Yahweh and know his will and approve what is excellent, because you are instructed from the law. Instructed by it, not follow it necessarily. You are instructed from the law. And if you are sure that you are yourself are a guide to the blind, a light to those who are in darkness, an instructor of the foolish, a teacher of children, having in the law the embodiment of knowledge and truth. You then who teach others, do you not teach yourself? While you preach against stealing, do you steal? Very pointed questions here. 22. You who say that one must not commit adultery, do you commit adultery? Reels, my head reels with names that you will never know. You who abhor idols, do you rob temples? You who boast in the law, dishonor Yahweh by breaking the law. For as it is written, the name of Yahweh is blasphemed among the Gentiles because of you. And I'm sure that we have all heard tales of chicanery and hypocrisy among the people concerning the activities of churches, ministers, priests, rabbis, and so forth. And I don't name anybody anymore. That's my job not. Go around people long enough. And people are so something now, I don't even know what to call it. They don't even hide stuff anymore like they used to. That proves to me that 80% figure, that ministers who don't believe in the second coming, that a long time I thought that number was a little off. I don't think that anymore. I've seen too much now to doubt that anymore. But that's not my job. That's not my job to whistle blow on those people. There's a trumpet for that later on. All of this brings harm to our ability to draw men to this way. Even with all of the signs so prevalent in the world that something is terribly wrong. The lull time seems to be on the brink of ending. A new year for them didn't signal that to me. But now is the time to learn the book while there is still time. Few are interested. TV is more interesting and fun, especially cable. But the signs are gathering that we are heading into a new age of evil. The signs are there everywhere. I'll skip all of that. Few these days will fool you. Most people now openly fly their freak flags high. The higher the better, they say, until that trumpet sounds. You think things are normal, and suddenly the world is on its ear. The world keeps us busy. Our jobs, those of us who still have them, working like 3 people. And they don't tell you, though, that the other 2 people are laid off. And we barely have time for our families, much less time to relax or study. Few take the time anymore. I've had people come to me, I don't read the Bible anymore. The word comes to me from him directly. I don't even wish I had it like that, because I don't believe it comes like that. That's your own thoughts coming into your head, and you instructing people with that. I don't want to say any more than that. I've got people thinking now I'm talking about somebody, but I'm not. I've heard it more than once. And it is hard out here now. But that's what Satan wants. Us to forget to read the instruction manual. Get bogged down, stressed out. It is time to learn and lean on that renewed agreement here, of our commitment here, that we made during the days of unleavened bread last year. It is time to remember what promises we made during the days of unleavened bread. It is real time to remember what Pentecost promises for us all. This plan of salvation is all wrapped up in those holy days. Let the world play their political games. Most of us know what's going on anyway. Both sides have a same script, but different people placing it with different things. And it looks like one script is of God and the other of Satan, but they're both of Satan. I'll get into that never, because no one will be convinced. I have so many friends out on social media that have completely come engrossed in this politics to the point where everything else is on the side of the road and they don't even look at it anymore. So many, all across the board. For we are in bad times, but they bode to get worse. Let us remain in his word. 1 John, the 2nd chapter, the 15th verse. Do not love the world, nor the things in the world. If anyone loves the world, the love of the Father is not in him. Ray didn't say it. The book said it. Because all that is in the world, we come again to these same three. The lust of the flesh, the lust of the eyes, and the pride of life is not of the Father, but is of the world. And the world passes away, and the lust of it. But he who does the will of Yahweh abides forever. Little children, it is the last time. And that's why many don't believe it. This was written a few thousand years ago. And how long y'all gonna wait? They say. I got nothing else to do. What you all doing isn't very productive. And do it while you can. Your time is going to run out. The book says mine isn't, if I do this right. "17. And the world passes away, and the lust of it. But he who does the will of Yahweh abides forever." Little children, it is the last time. And just as you have heard, the Antichrist is coming. Even now, many Antichrists have risen up, from which we know that it is the last hour. They went out from us, but they were not of us. For if they were of us, they would have continued with us. But they went out so that it might be revealed that they were not all of us. But you have an anointing from the Holy One, and you know all things. Know all things. I have not written to you because you do not know the truth, but because you know it. And know that no lie is of the truth. Who is a liar? But he who denies that Yeshua is the Messiah. He who denies the Father and the Son is Antichrist. Everyone who denies the Son neither has the Father. That was a low blow to Judaism right there. Everyone who denies the Father neither has the Father. The one confessing the Son also has the Father. Therefore, what you heard from the beginning, let it abide in you. If what you heard from the beginning remains in you, you will abide in both the Son and in the Father. So many nowadays, only one or the other, depending on who it is. They're all for one and none for the other. It says here that you have to have both the Son and the Father. "25. And this is the promise that he has promised us, everlasting life." I had to say that I had more time than they did. If you stay in this everlasting, that's a long time. Somebody that knows that said that a long time ago. Roger Nelson was his name. We called him Prince. He said the same thing. Verse 26. These things I have written to you concerning those leading you astray. But the anointing which you received from him abides in you, and you do not need anyone to teach you. But as his anointing teaches you concerning all things, and is true and no lie, and as he has taught you, abide in him. And now, little children, abide in him, so that when he is revealed, we may have confidence and not be ashamed before him in his coming. If you know that he is righteous, you know that everyone who does make it, he who does righteousness, has been born of him. We live in perilous times. More shootings every week. Somebody has, without any proof at all, it's all over the internet, that was a rocket launched in Nashville last week. I haven't seen any proof of that yet. But now it's building to the point where certain people, that's all they know about it, is that. And that's the amazing thing about these times. Anybody that raises a flag, all of a sudden, somebody will salute it. That's good for some people. That's not good enough for me. But I do not trust the mainstream media either. The thing that has to happen at this point is you know something for yourself. I wish it was that simple. Half of the stuff we read now is lies. More shootings every week. More corruption every week. I don't know why they haven't dragged everybody out from the 5th floor in Chicago yet. 100 and something police break-ins, all with the wrong address. Guns to infants' heads. I would have quit if it was me. But I'm not a politician and never was a lawyer, so enough said about that. But I wouldn't even occupy that office any further. If somebody could get that past me and then apologize to it and nothing else. We live in perilous times, people. Let our anchor hold. And end with Matthew, the 7th chapter, the 24th verse. Therefore, whoever hears these sayings of mine and does them, I will liken him to a wise man who built his house on a rock. 25. And the rain descended, and the floods came, and the winds blew and beat upon that house, and it fell not, For it was founded on a rock. And everyone that hears these sayings of mine and does them not shall be likened unto a foolish man, which built his house upon sand. And the rain descended, and the flood came, and the winds blew and beat upon that house, and it fell, and great was the fall of it. Any questions? Any comments?